So the name of the horse was known as the Jet to Pongo. It was a very well-known horse in those days, years ago.
Living on a jet plane.
Leaving on a jet plane. Yeah, where are you going? Oh, I'm taking a jet to Pongo. Any questions about these words? Jet, pet, net. I think everybody knows net. Catch it in the net. Met, past tense of meet. Did you meet him? Yes, we met yesterday at the temple. Whoa, wow. That must have been exciting. Yeah, well, he's a military vet. He was in the army for years. He's a veteran.
Teacher, vet, VET, is the money,
Where?
vet, VET.
Oh, vet.
Is a vet money to put for?
Well, the bet is the action. I am betting on a certain thing. Yet, it could be money. Yeah, you could bet money on this horse to win the race. I will bet 1,000 baht on the horse. Did you place a bet? Yes, I did. The act of doing the betting, the gambling,
Betting amount.
or the amount that I betted was 1,000 baht. Place a bet. Can you climb up that mountain? I'll bet you can. Might not be any money involved. It's just the idea that I think you can't go up that mountain. I don't think you can climb. I'll bet you can. Let me see you try. No, I can do it. Watch. But I'll bet you can. But in that case, a lot of times they use the word bet, but there's no money involved, just a statement, just a comment. Oh, I'll bet you can. Stuff like that. Any other questions about this? Bet, get, set, bet, wet. Net, let, jet, get. That, bet, abet. He abetted the crime. He assisted the robber. He didn't rob it, but he helped out. Ooh. Abetted. Rent, let. Apartment to let. Apartment to rent. Pongo Pongo. American Samoa. Anybody ever been there?
Yes.
The Rainmaker?
Yes.
In Rainmaker Hotel. Very interesting place. Okay, let's try another one here.
Nếu mà được đó, đúng không? Sẽ hát sinh nếu
Okay, let's see what we got here. The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal."
fatal.
The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal." Go ahead.
The detectives entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal."
Right. The detective saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal." The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. Okay, Mr. Ray.
The detective entered the room to find their police standing
There.
there. While the medical family
Examiner. Examiner.
had over man. The body lie on the wall. After a few minutes, the family
Examiner rose
and approached the detective, saying the victim had been shot in the head. I am
afraid. I'm afraid.
the
Wound
wound
is fatal. Saying the victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Whoa. The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. Okay.
The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective saying the victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the earl is fallen.
I'm afraid the wound is fatal. The detective entered the room. Remember, gloom is another word.
Yes, sir.
Room to find 3 policemen standing there while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. Okay.
The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I am afraid the wound is fatal."
Very good. I'm afraid the wound is fatal. I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Detective. Okay, go ahead.
The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying the victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal.
I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Examiner. You know what I call examiner? No, examiner. The medical examiner. The examiner, I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Okay.
The detective entered the room to find 3 policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I am afraid the wound is fatal."
Right, I'm afraid the wound is fatal. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective. He approached the detective. Okay, go ahead.
The detective enters the room of find 3 policemen standing there. The medical examiner cried,
Knelt.
over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying the victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal.
Right, I'm afraid, I hate to say it, but I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Examiner. Like Examiner. Exam. Not the other way. That way. The examiner. The examiner. Examiner. To examine. To look into something. Or an examination. A test you might take at school. Examination. Did he pass the exam? He sure did. The medical examiner. Okay.
The detective entered the room of three policemen standing there, while the medical examiner examiner over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. Arm afraid the room is filled."
I'm afraid the wounded. Not womb. Womb is another whole other thing. Wound. Wound. Like moon. Wound. Like almost like wound. No. Wound. Okay.
The detective entered the room to find three policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying the victim had been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal.
Yeah, very good. I'm afraid the wound is fatal. The detective entered the room to find three policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt as if there was no K, knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal." Go ahead.
The detective entered the room to find three policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying, "The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal."
I'm afraid the wound is fatal. The victim. Try to avoid the wick, and try to use the big. Victim. Examiner. The medical examiner. A minor is a whole other thing. We're talking about the examiner. The medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective. Okay, go ahead.
The detective entered the room to find three policemen standing there, while the medical examiner knelt over a man's body lying on the floor. After a few minutes, the examiner rose and approached the detective, saying the victim has been shot in the head. I am afraid the wound is fatal.
Right, very good. The victim has been shot in the head. I'm afraid the wound is fatal. Fatal. What is fatal?
Fail.
Fatal.
Causes the death.
The,
Some wound it causes the death.
The serious wound.
It
that's
causes the death.
very dangerous.
Fatal. Dead. Dead.
Yes.
He has died. I'm afraid it is fatal. Died. Fatal wound. He could have been seriously wounded, very bad. He could have been critically wounded, real bad. Or it could have been fatal. Sorry, nothing we can do. Detective,
Investigator.
a police investigator of one sort or another, a detective. So he entered the room to find 3 policemen, uniformed officers of the police department of the city involved. Could be New York, could be LA, SF, or even Bangkok for that matter. The policeman standing there while the medical examiner,
Doctor. Police doctor.
yeah, could be a doctor or a highly trained individual whose job was to examine a certain situation. In this case, a medical situation, obviously probably a person. So something was wrong, and they brought in the medical examiner. He knelt,
To go, keeping the knees on the floor.
kneel, not near, kneel, kneel.
Kneel.
I know how to spell it.
Ear.
Eel,
Ear.
eel,
Ear.
eel,
Ear.
not ear. It's an L, L, L.
Ear. Ear.
Eel, eel, kneel. Yeah, to kneel is to place to kneel with your knees on the floor. So he knelt over the body, he was down something like that, kneeling over the body, lying on the floor. After a few minutes, 5 minutes maybe, the examiner rose. What does it mean, rose?
Stood up.
Right.
Yes, he got up and approached.
Reached.
To
He
near.
reached
Come
he
near.
reached the detective.
Come near. Near.
More nearing, yeah, more coming, I'm approaching you. I haven't reached you yet, but I'm approaching.
Move. Started
Yeah, move toward.
towards
He
the
began to approach me. I thought, whoa, what's this all about? Whoa. Approached the detective, the investigator for the department, saying the victim, the person who has been hit by the bullet. You can be the victim of a shooting, you can be the victim of a robbery, you can be the one that suffered the loss. Loss of money, loss of life, whatever. In this case, it was loss of life. The victim, the person who was shot in the head, and I'm afraid, the wound. The mark, the mark and the injuries left by the bullet, the wound, he was wounded in the head, is fatal, deadly. Sorry, there's nothing we can do. The wound was fatal. A fatal accident. An accident, let's say a car accident, a fatal accident is where people, or a person or people were killed. There was a big accident, a bus hit a car out on the street today. It was fatal. 4 people were killed, and 6 were seriously injured. 1 critical. Whoa. serious. Whoa. Wow, glad I wasn't on the bus. Woo. Shot in the head, I'm afraid. Sorry to say, I hate to tell you, I don't want to say it, I'm afraid to say it, but it was fatal. Sorry. It was fatal. Detective, examiner, to examine an examination. Did he pass the exam? Did he pass the examination at the school? Yes, he did. He got an A. Rise, to get up, rose, approached, came near. Any other questions about this? Pronunciation, R sound, eel, 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 kneel, kneel, examiner, examiner, examiner. You can be a minor, and you can be a minor, but you cannot be an examiner.
Yes.
What is a minor?
So a person who is working in the mine.
Yeah, you could be working in a gold mine, a coal mine, a mine of one sort or another. What is a miner?
Small.
Small what?
Small thing.
Minor mistake or something.
Small thing like my little finger?
Yeah.
Minor finger?
No.
No. Minor.
Minor wife. Minor
Minor.
wife.
Minor wife. No, I don't think so. That's from 200 years ago, I think, or something. I don't know. A minor, usually under 18. He's a minor, under 18.
Age.
Yeah, be a minor. Adults over 18, and no minors allowed. No young children allowed. Any other questions about this? Womb? What's
I am alive. Alive. I am alive. Same
Oh, here?
alive. Sound alive.
No, afraid.
Afraid.
Afraid. It's like F-R-A-D-E. Afraid. Afraid, that's the spelling. Afraid. I am in fear. I am afraid that something is going to happen. I don't know what, but I'm afraid. I am in great fear that something may go wrong. I don't know. I'm afraid.
Afraid. Same fear.
Yeah, you are experiencing fear of something. But in this case, the examiner is not in fear. It's an expression that he just, I'm sorry to have to tell you, I regret that I have to say that it's fatal. He died. It's not that he's in fear. No, it's an expression you'll hear people use. Oh, I'm afraid to say it, but the plane's late.
We call
something like
that. A fear for you.
Yeah, you can be afraid of me, or I can be afraid of you.
Fear the body die, and fear die in God.
Well, what the examiner is saying is
fear the people fear the people die.
well, right. You can be afraid of many things. You can be afraid of your neighbor's pet dog. Afraid. I am afraid of my neighbor's pet dog. Because every time I walk toward my home, the neighbor's dog starts moving toward me, barking, barking, barking. Whew. I'm just so happy that there is a fence between the dog and myself. A fence.